And welcome to Tanya Outside In. We're in chapter Kaf Gimel. We've already spent 2 weeks in it, so we're part three of chapter Kaf Gimel, and it's in my opinion for sure it's the hardest chapter so far. There are a few chapters later on that definitely rival this for complexity, but it is a very subtle idea. We're trying to understand. Um, Hashem's relationship to mitzvahs, but not to the concept of mitzvahs, to the Maisa mitzvah. And then what we're going to do is we're going to contrast that to Hashem's relationship to learning Torah, because they're two very different things. Well, not very different things, but they are different. And really the chapter, so when you look at the chapter um, um, as an isolated lesson, it feels that really all we're doing is working out the difference between learning Torah and doing mitzvahs. When you look at it, chapter 23 by itself. But when you take it in context, you realize that what the Rebbe is really doing is just explain to you what happens when you're involved in Kedusha. When you're linked in with the Rabboni Shalom, yeah, whether you're doing mitzvahs or you're doing Torah, this is what's going on. So Bichlal, in the big picture, it's just talking about what happens when you're linked in with Torah. If you look at it on the micro level, well, there's two madrigas when you're linked into Ratzon Hashem, and that's what it sounds like. So just keep the big picture. So we're holding on page 56 at the very top of Pirti Kach Derech Moshel, the very top line. Um, but I just want to quickly that we left off by basically saying that the mitzvahs, the Maisa mitzvah is called the Ivrin de Malka, the limbs of the king. Yeah. Learning Torah or Torah is called Oraisa v'Kudsha Baruch Kul Echad, that Hashem and his Torah are one. That's different to say that you and your personality is one is more correct than saying you and your body is one. If you want to be really, really like accurate, you would say that you have a personality, okay? But the you and your personality are so intimately bound up with each other that it looks like you are your personality, but it doesn't look like you are your body. Your body is nullified to you, completely responsive to you, but it's not you. So that's what we're saying. By the Torah, your relationship to your body. Now, again, I don't know what science says about this, but the way that the Balatanya, the way I understand the way he speaks about it, is that your arm responds to your Ratzon. There is no kind of command. I don't think in my head, right now I'm going to send my hand towards the camera. As the Ratzon goes up in my mind or in my heart, however you want to say it, my hand immediately follows. To even say it follows is already a little bit inaccurate. It's automatic. There is no separation between me wanting to go like that and me going like that. You understand?
Was that the point with Avram at the Akedah that he had to tell his hand to go because his ratzon wasn't that he wanted to?
And maybe sounds good. I never thought about that, but that sounds good. But either way, the point is that the in regards to what we're learning right here is that your relationship to your goof, yeah, which is really when you think, and this is an important little thing we're going to add in right now. Okay, let's just say it's your personality that is moving your hand. Let's say that. Okay, that's maybe not accurate, but let's say that for now, okay? It's your personality that's moving your hand, but your hand is moving. So it's, so to speak, let's call it your personality. It's really your Ratzon, but your personality enclosed within your hand that allows you to do that. That's Hashem's relationship to the mitzvahs. When we're doing his mitzvahs, it's like he is moving his hand, but an action that he really wants to do for its own sake. I was gonna say, oh, I was just gonna say something that left my head. Um, ugh, uh, it's gone. Okay. Um, so yeah, so the Misa Mitzvah is comparable. Oh, so yeah, I was gonna say let's just quickly mention this idea of nachas ruach, yeah, giving Hashem a nachas ruach. Lazy, you heard me explain this before. What nachas ruach is? Yeah, the very important idea, and this is exactly the idea. So he says in Tanya in multiple places that Hashem was meyached malchusoi itanu. Yeah, much later on in like the mid mems. Yeah, he said he was meyached his malchus with us. Yeah, what does that mean? Meyached his malchus means that that he gave his um he gave his behavior to Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael are the Rebbeinu Shalom's behavior. One minute. Yeah, miyached malchusoi al amoy Yisrael bechlal, but Allah befrat, and on him in each one in specifically, meaning that we don't give our behavior to anyone. We are in control of our behavior. But the Rebbeinu Shalom, in his infinite humility, handed his behavior over to Am Yisrael. So that's like we can't think of such an idea. It would be like you ever saw that film Avatar? You know that like the evil army guy who like wears that suit, like the robot suit kind of thing. He's like a little guy inside a suit and he like goes like that and the suit moves and stuff, whatever. Yeah. It's a bit like that in a sense, Lahavdil. The Rebbeinu Shalom, like we give, so to speak, our body behaves for us. But it doesn't really. The body is completely nullified to us. If the body, Chas v'shalom gets Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or something like that, yeah, then it stops being responsive and it starts doing its own thing. But it's our body and we're in control of it, yeah. The Rebbeinu Shloim, so to speak, his body is in the control of Balei Bechira. That's called Am Yisrael. So whereas me, I just do as I wish, Hashem is plutzing that's the right word because plutz means to burst. He's plutzing that Am Yisrael do Torah and mitzvahs. That's his behavior. That's what he wants to do, but he handed the keys over to Am Yisrael. So he's plutzing, literally. He's when we don't act in accordance with Torah and mitzvahs, we are suppressing the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's really that's mamash it. And that really is that's exactly what's happening. We are just like if you're like really angry, yeah, and you don't let off some steam somehow, and it doesn't need to be with big, big fireworks. You can let off anger quite calmly with, with a hard word. For me, I'll swear. Yeah, I never swear. Yeah, as a kid, I swore all the time, and like my boys know, and it's only with my boys, only my big boys. If I swear, yeah, I would just say like one word but they know they did something really, really wrong. Yeah. And that for me, because I never swear, that just saying that one word can release so much energy. It can literally it can release so much. So I'm just saying when I say like the idea of letting go of anger, it doesn't mean you have to like, knock over bookshelves and set fire to cars. Yeah, you need to learn how to do it in very quiet, powerful ways. But anyway, but when we're not doing Torah and mitzvahs, we are stifling the Ribbono Shel Olam's expression. That's what's happening. We are suppressing the Ribbono Shel Olam. Rahman al-Islam. So, so now that's what Nachas Ruach is. Ruach is the emotions. Nachas Ruach means the relaxation of the emotions. How do the emotions relax? Only one way that the emotions relax. That's through behavior. So Nachas Ruach, Hashem gets a Nachas Ruach when we're doing Torah and mitzvahs because he's like, I really needed to do that. Shake a little of an esrog. That's Ribbono Shel Olam. That's the Nachas Ruach, yeah. So his relationship to mitzvahs is like that. The Ma'aser Mitzvah is like us moving our hand out. That's him moving his hand, so to speak, as an end unto itself, not as a means to an end, but as an end unto itself. Yeah, that's where the moshel breaks down. I never like move my hand as an end unto itself, but his mitzvahs are an end unto themselves. So that's Hashem's relationship to mitzvahs. Just like I move my hands like this, and my ratzon, let's say my personality, is causing my hand to move. So too, the ratzon Hashem being channeled through me doing the Ma'aser Mitzvah. That is that is that is the relationship of Hashem to the mitzvah. Now, how do you fit into that? You're doing the Ma'aser Mitzvah. So you become what he calls the Levush Panimi, the Panimius Ratzon. Why? What's the Levush Chitzoni of the Ma'aser Mitzvah? The external garment, the most external level of the Ma'aser Mitzvah. What is it? It's the physical act, the physicality of the lulav and the esrog and the shaking and the 15th of Tishrei, etc. That's the chitzonius. But the panemius of that is the energy that's doing it. And that's what we provide. So that's called the levush panemi to panemius ratzon. Levush panemi, le panemius ratzon. The levush chitzoni to panemius ratzon is the actual mitzvah. The levush panemi is the energy that does the mitzvah. And that's us. So what happens when you're doing a mitzvah? You become, in the words of the Rebbe, a levush panimi, le panemius ratzon. Or at least your levush of Ma'aser. Your ability to do becomes the levush panimi of Hashem's true desire. Levush panimi. A levush, it's still a levush. That's the inyan of makava. That's the inyan of guf. Meaning it's nullified to him, but it's not him. But it's nullified to him, but it's not him. But it's nullified to him, but it's not him. That is the way that I understand the way that the Rebbe explains the relationship between you and the Ribbono Shel Olam when you're doing mitzvahs. You actually become you've got the Ratzon Hashem, which we're going to say in a minute is the Torah. Yeah, that's the personality. Then you have the next layer that's completely bound to the Ratzon Hashem. That's the energy that energizes the mitzvah. That's where you and Hashem meet in the Ma'aser Mitzvah. And then the external level would be the actual physicality of the lulav and esrog, etc. So that's the relationship of the Yid to the Ribbono Shel Olam when he's doing mitzvahs, physical mitzvahs. Is that clear? Yeah, that's a lot of to get that clear, to be able to speak that out takes a lot of chazara. It's really worth it though. It's really, really worth it. Okay, so now he's just gonna speak out a little bit. Kach derech Marshall, top of page 56. Once we've got the mechanics, now he's gonna show us how it is the Maisa. Kach derech Marshall, Achias shel Maisa mitzvahs, the Kuman, who bottle legabe ratzna elyon, that the actual Maisa mitzvah, the energy of the mitzvah and its kiyum, which means like so to speak conceptually, who bottle legamre legabe ratzna elyon amalubush boy v'naasle mamash kaguf neshama. It becomes completely nullified to, we said it becomes a levush. A levush is nullified. It should be anyway. A levush should be completely nullified, bottled, like it dissolves to the nefesh, to the one wearing it. Yeah. So that's the energy that we're bringing of the Maisa Mitzvah, and that's exactly like the relationship of the body to the soul. That's exactly the relationship of the body to the soul. The soul is enclosed within the body, and the body is utterly responsive to the soul. Okay, just like the Maisa Mitzvah and the Ratzon Elyon. Okay. V'chein halevush achitzoin shel nefesh elokis שבאדם המקיים והאויסה mitzvah שהוא koyach b'chinas ha'maisa shelo. I said this to you just before. Now this is him saying it. Is that the most outer garment of your nefesh elokis, which is the garment of Maisa, yeah, the ability to do. Hamakayim va'oisa mitzvah, it does the mitzvah. Shu koyach b'chinas ha'maisa shel, which is Maisa. Who mislabesh b'chinas shel Maisa ha'mitzvah. It becomes bound up in the act of the mitzvah, the concept of the mitzvah. V'naaseh gam kein keguf l'neshama. And it becomes like a guf l'neshama, l'ratzon elyon, a bottle elav legamrei. It merges with the concept of the Maisa Mitzvah, the energy of let's not say the energy, the talent of the neshama to do a mitzvah becomes utterly fused with the concept of the Maisa Mitzvah. And that is a levush to the Ratzon Elyon. That is the innermost garment. That is the first layer of something else, something other, but it's nullified, so it's not really other, to the Ratzon Elyon. So the talent that your neshama has to do, the ability to act, which is the most chetzonius, levush, yeah, the levush Maisa, that becomes merged completely with the Maisa mitzvah, with the kiyum mitzvah. That's what we've been speaking about, the idea of the concept of the mitzvah. I don't know how to say it in English. It's not really right to say the concept of it, but the Maisa and the kiyum of the mitzvah, and that becomes a good, and that's your relationship. Therefore he says, for okay. Come ivrei gufa adam. Now he goes further, yeah? Now, therefore, the actual limbs of your body, hamakayim hamitzvah, shekoyach b'chinas ha'maisa shel nefesh elokis ha'melubash behem, the actual limbs of your body that are now, so to speak, the chariot for the talent of the soul to do. How does the soul do something? Through the body. So now we've got the talent of the soul to do. That becomes fused with the kiyum of the mitzvah, which is the first level outside, so to speak, of the Ratzon Emiti of the Rabbeinu Shloim. So we've got the Ratzon Emiti, the Chefetz Emes of the Rabbeinu Shloim. Then the first level around that is your your nefesh elokis's ability to do something. And the next level on that is the actual limbs of your body. Because the limbs of your body right now are completely nullified to the ruts of your nefesh elokis. As you're putting on the tefillin, your body is being completely obedient to your nefesh elokis. And your nefesh elokis is bound up in the Maisa Mitzvah, and the Maisa Mitzvah is the levush panimi of the Panimius Aratzon Elyon. So wait, so what's now the relationship of the body to the Ratzon Elyon? It's like you've got two membranes. They're both completely nullified. It's like, exactly, it's like wearing a few different garments. What's the difference? Whether I'm wearing my duffel coat, or I'm wearing just my rechel, I'm wearing just my shirt, I'm wearing just my tzitzis, I'm wearing just my just my undershirt. They're all nullified to me. It's not like you see me more when I'm wearing my t-shirt than when I'm wearing my rechel. Doesn't matter how many layers you're wearing, you don't see me more. Because why? Because all of those layers are nullified. They all dissolve to the one who wears them. So right now we've got the Ratzon Elyon, that's the kernel of reality in the middle. Then we've got the Maisa Mitzvah and the Kiyum Mitzvah, and the Maisa Mitzvah, Kiyum Mitzvah, and the soul's ability to do, that merge, that become, so to speak, the undergarment. And then you have the actual limbs of the body that become dissolved to they're on the next level. Now he doesn't say this, but let me ask you, what would be the level on top of that? The next level on top of the limbs of the body. If we've got Ratzon Elyon, then we've got the Maisa Mitzvah, which merges with the soul's ability to do. Yeah, they merge, and that creates the next levush. Then you've got the limbs of the body that are nullified to that. Then what would be the levush that goes on top of that? And that's this is the final levush. The physicality of the actual mitzvah, the lulav and the esrog. They're another step removed, but they're completely nullified. Just like if I hit someone with a stick, lahavdil, I get in trouble. So now this is the whole package, yeah? You've got the Ratzon Elyon, yeah? Then you've got the Kiyum HaMitzvah and the Maisa Mitzvah. They merge as one. Then you've got the limbs of the body that's doing the mitzvah. And then you've got the fruit of the esrog, or the leather of the tefillin, that is being used by the goof. So it's all one. And you know what a nice moshel, I just didn't think of it like this before, but just to say it just now, is a good moshel for that is when like we just said, if a person was to punch someone with their hand, yeah, they would be held culpable. Yeah. If a person was to hit someone with a stick, they would be absolutely held, maybe even it would be worse because they were using a weapon. It's interesting, yeah. And then what about if I used, that even better. So if I was to punch someone, yeah, then I get in trouble. If I was to hit someone with my gun, then I would get in trouble. If I was to use my finger to pull the trigger to send out a projectile from the gun, now that's already 3 stages removed. Imagine a man standing up in court saying, "What are you doing?" It wasn't my hand. It wasn't even my gun. It was the bullet from my gun that killed him. And you're holding me accountable? That's the point. We're so removed, but this is the exact point that the Rebbe is trying to make here, is that No, you're right. There's concentric layers, but they are all nullified. They all dissolve to the Ratzon Elyon, and that's what happens when you do mitzvahs. You merge with the Ribbono Shel Olam. You become like a membrane. He's the energy in like the nuclear envelope. He's like, so to speak, the actual DNA, and you're the nuclear envelope, the most subtle kind of membrane that goes around that to the point, and the imagery of a membrane is it's transparent. So when you look at it, you just see straight through. And that's why he doesn't say it in this period, he says it later on, that there's a mitzvah, and the Balatanya Paskins like this, that you should stand up in the presence of someone doing a mitzvah. You see someone waiting to fill in or putting on to fill in, good idea to stand up. There's not everyone paskins like that, but it's firstly the Balatanya does paskin like that, and secondly, it's really good for you to it helps you appreciate the idea of a mitzvah. You're seeing the Ribbono Shel Olam, right? Just like, or you'll say, I'm not seeing the Ribbono Shel Olam, I'm seeing a guy shaking lulav of an esrog. That's like me saying, I'm not seeing you, I'm seeing your clothes, and you're wearing them. It's like the hijab. It's like a hijab. That's what it's like. It's called a jahib, a hijab, the thing that they wear all over, Yeah.
Basic question. Where does our Kavana come into this series?
It doesn't here. It doesn't in we're talking beyond Kavana right now, without Kavana. We're just talking about the Maisa Mitzvah. The Kavana makes a big difference, the Maisa, but not in the way we've set this up in regards to nullification to the mit to the um to the mitzvah. It's the kavana really is how much energy is enclosed within the mitzvah. So that we're not talking about that. That would really be like to speak how much Ratzon Hashem is there. That's what it means, kavanas a mitzvah. Kavanas a mitzvah means how personally you take in this mitzvah. Like the difference between, you know, the difference between when you work for yourself and when you've got someone working for you on a wage. Who puts in more? Obviously, you put in more energy because you take it personally. So Kavanas and Mitzvah really means that you take it personally, not for egoic reasons. It just means that you've become so identified with the Shem that it's like your mitzvah. This is my mitzvah that I'm doing for him, and that's becoming identified. So that we'll talk about it in detail much later on. Okay, let's keep going. וכן, שכיח שכיח שבאודם, וכאן ויש מצווה של כוח ובחינת מעשה שלה. ובסתיו שכיח שמעשה מצווה נעשה גם כן כיוון שם באופן העליון, ובוטל אליו לגמרי. ועל כן, גם איברי גוף האדם, also the limbs of the actual physical limbs of the mensch, המקיים המצווה, שכוח הבחינו המייסה של נפש הכיס מלובש בהן בשעת המייסה וקיים המצווה הם נעשו מהכובע ממש לרצון העליון כגון היד המחלקת צדקה לעניים או עושה מצווה אחרת. So we just said that, Shalom Gavril, just in time, that we just said exactly that the body is nullified to the koyach hamaisa of the nefesh hakis, which is nullified to the Ratzon Elyon, and therefore the actual limbs of the body are completely nullified to the Ribbono Shel Olam. Okay, Gabriel, if I were you, I would try and listen to that. I had Big Siyata Dishma explaining what I was trying to explain today, and if you can listen to the share like afterwards, I think you'll appreciate it. So to share. Okay, so he says kagon hayad hamachalekes tzedakah la'aniyim or oiseh mitzvah acheres. Yeah, your hand that's doing the mitzvah, you're not seeing a hand here. You're seeing garments of the Ribbono Shel Olam. And just like when you look at me, yeah, you don't see garments, you see me. The garments dissolve into me. So too, when you see a hand giving tzedakah, you're not seeing a hand. You're seeing the Ratzon Elyon melubush in Basar V'Dam. And like we just said, when something is enclosed in something, the clothing is nullified to that thing. And he goes on. Eruglaim hamahalachos ledav mitzvah, and the legs that are going to do a mitzvah, chen apeh v'loshem shemedabim divrei seira v'hamoyach shemaha v'divrei tov v'yiras shemayim u'b'gedulas Hashem is bochu. That now he's going to change gear a minute. That the same with all of the limbs, including the hands that give tzedakah, the feet that are going to do the mitzvah, the mouth that is speaking the words of Torah, and the mind that is thinking about the words of Torah. All of that's all becomes one part of the parcel. That's called being godly. How do you be godly? It's not by going to retreats and meditations and stuff like that. Well, it could be. It's by doing mitzvahs. That's it. If you're doing mitzvahs, you're godly. If you're not doing mitzvahs, you're not godly. In fact, if you're doing mitzvahs, you don't even really exist. You've really merged. You have become one shtick Ribbono Shel Olam. You're giving him nachas ruach. Remember that means? That means that you're giving him emotional expression. You're giving him, what's the word? Like psychological air. A little bit different to that. But you're giving him the ability to breathe. You're allowing him to act through you. That is such a mind-blowing idea. Like that is just, it's, there's no words for that idea. The Ribbono Shel Olam, reality itself, yeah, has kind of put all his eggs in your basket. Like I said this before, I'll say again. That I talk about with Noah Weinberg, yeah, Zatzal. Now, obviously, Aish Torah is a very important part of creation, yeah. Like in my mind, it's a very important part of creation, and he he had some very very special koiches to build Aish Torah. Yeah, you needed Noah Weinberg to build Aish Torah. Yeah, not many people could have done that. Now, let me ask you a question. Let's just say, yeah, that with Noach, it was 50 years later, yeah, and he had YouTube and whatever, and he just didn't get round, this got in the way and that got in the way, and he didn't rumble like he did in the 70s to get Aish Torah up and running, yeah? Now, how difficult would it be for Hashem to get Aish Torah up and running? Just to point another guy or a team of people, whatever, there would be no trouble whatsoever getting Aish Torah up and running if Rav Noach, decided that he wasn't going to do that, Chas v'shalom. But now, what about if Rav Noach decided not to put on tefillin? Now the Ribbono Shel Olam's in a really difficult position. Because Ribbono Shel Olam needs, for his emotional well-being, the Ribbono Shel Olam, so to speak, needs the arm of Noach Weinberg to be covered in tefillin and shachris every morning, except for Shabbos. So now if Rav Noach decided not to put on tefillin, the Ribbono Shel Olam is being denied that, and he can't just appoint, another team of people to do that. That's a mind-blowing idea. That is a mind-blowing idea. That no matter how much impact you're making on the world and whatever kind of big pa'ulas you're doing in the world, yeah? And the Ribbono Shel Olam is grateful for that, and you should be grateful for that as well. It's not as it's not as kind of irreplaceable as the kind of mitzvahs that we just, every day we're doing it every day, day in, day out. And it's difficult to not like, treat them lightly, like Parshas Akev. It's difficult to not take them lightly when really in truth they are much dearer to the Rebbeinu Shalom than the big things that move the world, the big projects that we're doing that are moving Klal Yisrael and doing not. I don't want to take away from them, although I kind of am. But you realize that the Rebbeinu Shalom is being given, like he's being given air, he's being given expression through our Maisa mitzvahs, the irreplaceable Maisa mitzvahs of tefillin and tzitzis. Um, I suppose us giving tzedakah and the Torah that we learn and all the mitzvahs that we do that seem to be so, put on tefillin, davening Shemona Esrei, great. Let me save Klal Yisrael. Yeah, this is what he's speaking about here. So then, Vazo, Shamazah, Avois Hein Hein Makova. This is why the Avois, Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov were called the Makova. Why? Shekol Ivrehem Kulam Hayu Kedoshim Umuvdalim Inyane Olam Hazeh. That all of their Avarim, all of their limbs, were separate from the things of this world, meaning they were agendaless. They had no agenda of their own. And they were exclusively for the Rebbeinu Shalom. Let me finish that. I'll just finish on what Rav Hass told me this morning, which blew my head off. Yeah, the avoider of the wife, the avoider of the woman to the man, of the zocha to Nekeva. We were talking in context of Zoyin, of Zampin and Nook, that the relationship of Nekeva to Zocha is that she nullifies herself to him. Excuse me. In Ganson, completely nullified to the Zocha. The Nekeva should completely nullify herself to the Zocha. Yeah? What does she get in return for that? I never knew this. This is Moedik. What does the Nekeva get from the Zocha in return for being totally nullified to him? Exclusivity. That's called he's Makadesh her, meaning she says, I'm here only for you. And he says, then I'm only going to use you.
But that's not true for a Nekeva.
Why?
Because he can have multiple Nekeva.
That's exactly what I asked with Hass. Thank you. Two great minds think alike. I asked Rav Hass that exactly. You know what he said? He smiled and he told me something completely new, that the second wife is only with the reshus of the first wife. The second wife is home help, and the third and the fourth and the fifth. You hear that? I asked exactly that question, Gabriel, and he said exactly that. That the second, really, there's only one wife in Yiddishkeit. The second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th wife is only with the reshus of the first wife. That's what you said. So really so we can't relate to that because of intimacy, yeah? But we could definitely relate to home help, yeah? But it's just like a step further. But that's so really no. So really he is miyached himself with the woman exclusively. And that's the relationship of Kudsha Baruch Shchinte, that we completely dedicate ourselves to him, and then he says, I'm yours. And that's Ani L'doidi V'doidi Li. That's the relationship. That's why we're Amo Yisrael. We're Am Echad. We're one nation, meaning we are the one. We're the one nation. That's so to speak, our gift for us nullifying ourselves to him is he exclusively he so to speak uses us exclusively. That's what we mean on Mincha, and that's why it's called Rav the Ravim, because we're completely butler at that place. So we're Am Echad. We're the one nation, meaning he only has one nation. That's us. That's our schus for being bottled. That's our, so to speak, our gift, our schar for us being mevatel ourselves to him. Well, I'm happy I got to share that with you guys today, because I didn't know where to put myself this morning when he said that to me. Okay, shkoyach.